Next up, we have Agriculture Commissioner, and we are joined tonight by Nate Sheets, who is right over there. Nate, if you can come on up and give your introduction, and we've got a few questions for you as well. See you.
Hi, my name is Nate Sheets, and I'm a fifth-generation Texan. I'm a follower of Christ. I've been married to my wife, Patty, for 30 years. We've got 4 kids. We live up in Dallas, Texas. And, right after Patty and I got married, my wife said we need a hobby together. And back then in 1996, they had TV commercials promoting what the internet was for. And so I bought a beehive, which was not the hobby she was thinking of. But today, that beehive has turned into what is the largest honey company in America and the #1 brand called Nature Nate's. Went from 1 beehive to 120,000. We'll bottle 100 million pounds of honey this year. If you think about agriculture, it clothes us and it feeds us. But the challenge we have in agriculture today is this week we lost 68 farms in Texas. And last week we lost 68 farms, and the week before 68 farms. And the reason is because farmers cannot afford to be in business anymore. I talked to a rice farmer here and farmed 6,000 acres down in Beaumont last couple weeks ago. And he said, I'm on the way to go sell my crop for 40% less than the actual input costs are. So everybody's concerned about data centers, wind farms, solar farms. But think about that guy who's going out there and he's selling his crop for 40% less than it actually cost him to make. Year after year after year, he's lost money. And his kids certainly don't want to be in agriculture and struggle like their dad. And so one day some guy shows up with $10,000 and says, I'll pay $10,000 an acre for your land. And the guy's going to take it because he loses money every year. The challenge we have in agriculture today is farmers can't afford to be in business because in 1980, they made 40 cents of every $1 of food. Today, they make 15 cents. That's their revenue. But their input costs, their labor, their seed, their interest rates, all of that has gone up 300%. And that is the reason why we need a new ag commissioner. We cannot afford another 4 years with our current commissioner in Texas.
Nate, how can Texas preserve large ranches and farms that have been in families for decades?
Thank you for that tee up. I got to go back to my illustration. Again, it's a revenue problem. I'm a business guy. I am not a politician. My opponent has been in politics before 9/11. He was a lobbyist, and then he got into being ag commissioner, and the entire organization revolves around him. We've got the Go Texan program inside the Texas Department of Agriculture. The purpose of it was to be able to help farmers and ranchers access consumers and access new markets. I was a member of it back in the 90s. It has zero value to any producer. If you go on that website right now, it looks like an elementary school fundraising project. It's got scented candles and healing crystal earrings and bracelets, nothing having to do with farming and ranching. So we're going to take that program, we're going to redevelop it. We're going to go from Go Texan to Grown Texan. And we're going to go to retailers all across the state, give farmers and ranchers access, if you have a finished product, to be able to go and put those products on the shelf. And we'll have a .com version, be able to allow you to sell products anywhere across the state. I've done it in the honey business, and now we're going to do it in cotton, cattle, and corn. But the biggest challenge that we have for producers today is they do not have options beyond the 2 grain buyers that they're going to sell to. Consolidation in agriculture today is the biggest risk that we have in America. We used to have 700 meat processing plants in Texas in the 70s. A rancher made 70 cents of $1 of food, and a packer made 30 cents. Today, there are 4 packers that control 85% of the meat market in America. 2 of them are owned by foreign companies in Brazil. And now the packers make 30 cents, the packers make 70 cents, and the ranchers make 30 cents. It's completely reversed. We need to give farmers and ranchers the ability to process their food and to be able to go sell it directly to consumers, and which will allow us to clean up the food at the same time.
What thoughts do you have about encouraging young people to go into ranching and farming?
I talked to the executive director at the FFA, and she's executive director for Texas. And she said, unfortunately in FFA today, we really do not teach agriculture as an option for students. We teach them how to do debate prep and speech writing to be able to go in and get ready for college. And I see some young folks over here, and unless they're a fourth or fifth or sixth generation farming and ranching family, you are not getting into agriculture. A tractor costs over $1 million. Land has gone through the roof. Seed costs have gone through the roof. Everything has gone through the roof. And that's why we don't have young people getting into this industry. Any industry that doesn't have people getting into it is destined for total collapse. But you know what? We've got an amazing opportunity because we have a president of the United States that sees agriculture and the health of Americans both as national security issues. Donald Trump has got Bobby Kennedy up there working to get food dyes and chemicals and things out of our food, that we have chronic disease as a rampant epidemic in America. 70% of all Americans have one chronic disease or more. Kids 18 to 25, 78% of them cannot even serve in the military because of their health related to the food that they eat. In Texas this year, we'll spend over $100 billion on Medicaid. Across the United States, we'll spend $4 trillion treating symptoms of diseases related to the food that we eat. The direction we're going in agriculture, the direction we're going in the health of Americans is untenable. And Donald Trump sees it that way. But unfortunately, our current commissioner doesn't have the ability to unite people and to bring people behind a great vision. And I'll share more after Brandon asks me this next question.
So you got time for one more here, which says, do you have proposals that will improve productivity and reduce the ag budget?
Yeah, so one of the things that that my opponent did when he got in to be the commissioner of Texas Department of Agriculture, he raised fees on farmers and ranchers by $26 million. Why? To pay for his TV show that features and stars him. Not starring farmers and ranchers and helping them sell more product. But the reason why he raised fees, because the legislature would not entrust him with more money. There's a lot of issues. I was very fortunate to get the endorsement of Governor Greg Abbott this week. I'm very fortunate to have the Texas Farm Bureau endorse me. They have not endorsed a candidate since 2014. We have the Texas cattle feeders. We have the Texas cattle raisers. We have grassroots We the People, Joanne Fleming. We've got Texas Gun Rights, Gun Owners of America. We've got so many endorsements that historically have endorsed my opponent that are on our side, because everyone agrees that we cannot continue to have him at the helm for another 4 years in the state of Texas. That is the reason why we have to have a change. And if you will go and read the governor's endorsement, you'll truly see why we need to have change. Take out your phones and go Google Todd Smith felon. Todd Smith felon. Todd Smith is a chief of staff of the Texas Department of Agriculture. In November of 2024, he pled guilty to commercial fraud and bribery, defrauding farmers. He was Sid Miller's campaign consultant for over 22 years. But he couldn't work as a lobbyist anymore when you're a felon, so he's out of work. So Sid hired him to be the chief of staff and to run the TDA, where he gets paid $218,000 today. That place is in chaos. Have over 150 employees leave in the past 9 months. How do we go help farmers and ranchers when we have a state agency that is in such chaos that they can't even serve the people that they're there to serve? Nate Sheets for Ag Commissioner, NateSheets.com. Would love to have your support.
Thank you. Thank you, Nate, for joining. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I want to welcome up our next set of candidates, which is for Bastrop County District Clerk. If you can make your way up, I believe we have 4 candidates here for this position. Holly Cox, Ward Northcutt, Sarah Laux, if I pronounce that wrong, and Tammy Bateau. I'm going to be corrected on these when they come up, but please give them a round of applause as they come up. If you can give a 2-minute introduction and then pass it to the person to your left, we'll start out that way.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Holly Cox. My experience includes over a decade of legal experience in Bastrop County. That is 7 years as a paralegal, and then most recently, almost 5 years as a deputy district clerk. So that kind of layered experience gives me a unique perspective to see where the deficiencies are from every angle. One of the things that I want to do is provide leadership to our deputy clerks, and that's going to be through guidance and onboard training. You know, having the support from the top down really makes a difference. And so the things that I want to do different is have have the support and let's see. One of the other things that I want to do differently is I don't want to have the postponements and the excuses that we currently have. One of the things that you'll hear the incumbent talk about is the jury management program that she's enlisted. The truth is that program was actually contracted in Bastrop County back in 2021. From there, it sat on the shelf not used for 2 years at a price tag of $16,000 a year. So that was $30,000 of tax money that was wasted because it was postponed and there were excuses. So having the insider knowledge and hearing the things that, the judges, the district attorneys, the people who are utilizing the system on the inside, having their perspectives gives me a great idea of what the inefficiencies are and where we need improvement. Thank you. I'm Holly Cox.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for attending. My name is Tamara Bato, and I am running for district clerk, as you can tell. I have served the community of Bastrop for over 17 years. 6 of those years, I was a deputy clerk at the district clerk's office, and the remainder of the time I have been at the sheriff's office. During the time at the district clerk's office, I held 3 positions: a civil clerk, a compliance clerk, and a criminal clerk. My responsibilities included filing in new cases, managing files, assisting judges, reconciling bank accounts, and serving the residents of the county. Ever since I have been at the sheriff's office, my job there is I'm a chief financial officer. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit nervous because I'm usually in the background and I'm having to learn to speak in public. My responsibilities at the sheriff's office include all the financial transactions that happen there. I order all the supplies, manage all the accounts, take care of the fleet, manage all the fleet information, and accidents. If there's accidents, insurance claims, I handle all of those. My experience at both offices, I feel like that I have learned enough from both offices, the responsibilities and stuff, to be able to serve as district clerk. Thank you. My name is Tamara Bato.
Good evening. Sorry, my name is Sarah Laux. I am the district clerk for Bastrop County. I have been the district clerk for 15 years. And we wear many, many hats in that office. But first of all, I want to address what Ms. Cox said about the jury system. It's not quite accurate. Tyler Technologies is who we do it with, is who our contract is with. And our training was horrible. They sent one person to train us, and the training was so bad we had to reject it, and we did not have to pay for it, and they sent someone else to train us. That's what happened with that. Like I said, we wear many hats. The civil section we have so many things that people come into the office for: passports, divorces, delinquent taxes, many, many things that all of the clerks deal with on a daily basis. And then the second thing that I want to talk about is back to the jury system. I am looking at a new one, actually, that's even better than what we have now, but I won't go into it in great detail. The one we have now has, it takes 7 people out of our office just to do jury selection. And that takes all day usually. And the third thing is the courtesy that my clerks give to people that come into the office. Most people don't want to make a trip to the district clerk's office because it is probably not a happy thing to have to do for most people. And I have to stop.
And Ward?
Hello, I'm Ward Northcutt. I'm a past police officer, served 32 years, about half of it in the Houston area. Down there, I worked on some cases for the University of Texas, baby kidnapping in John Sealy Hospital, and a murder of a vice president for the University of Texas, MD Anderson Hospital. Second half of my career was up here. I should say down there I went to college, have an Associate of Arts in Mathematics, a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, and I went to 1 year of law school. The district clerk office is about cases and law, and the stakeholders are lawyers, judges, citizens of Bastrop, and all the casework, which winds up being civil and criminal. You know, the district clerk's office, at one time in Texas, the clerk and the district clerk in some counties were combined. As you can see, Bastrop is just growing exponentially, and so there's a need for 2 different directions. The district clerk's office takes care of civil and criminal cases, and they're usually at the district level or above, which means felonies and that sort of thing. Also, as the many other things that they were talking about that are also combined. Look, the district clerk's office is one of the most underfunded offices in the county. I've been here since the 90s. I've known every sheriff, every person that worked in a county office, and we have often switched between being run by Democrats or being run by Republicans. Right now, we're a Republican stronghold. I've been a precinct chairman twice, and I like trying to get Christians in the offices. I'm so proud of our last judge, Elizabeth Byer, and I worked on her campaign to try and get her into office for the 456th court. And I know her as a Christian herself. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to pose this question to all the candidates. We'll start with you, Holly, since you have the microphone. Do you think voting is important, and how can voters be confident that you're a Republican?
So I would say that a year ago, as just a everyday person, I did not take into consideration what effect our local elections have on our everyday life. And so when I decided to run, it was obvious that I needed to pick a party. So I educated myself on each side and decided which one aligned with my values. And so it definitely has been a personal growth. And it's something that I've realized was probably a generational thing. My parents were very blue collar. Politics weren't openly talked about in our home. And it's something different that I'm doing with my own son. He has been a part of this with me the whole entire way. He's attended different meetings with me. I'm going to be taking him next month to the Bastrop County Young Republicans. And so I think introducing that to him young is something that I, looking back, realized that my parents should have done for me. And I'm hoping that moving forward, I'm going to continue being involved in politics.
Sit down. Go.
I believe that voting is important. That's where you make your voice heard if you have anything to say. And I've been a Republican since the first time I ever voted. So that's all. That's just the belief I've always had. So thank you.
Yes. Hammy.
I've been a Republican since I very first voted, which was when I was old enough to vote. And I believe in God. I am a Christian. I believe in our values that we all stand for who are here tonight. And I always will. And whatever path this election takes me, I plan to continue in politics, whether it's the Republican women or the Republican Club or the conservatives. I plan to continue and get back into volunteer work, which I used to be able to do a lot, but that's what I'm planning. Thank you.
And Ward, same question.
Okay. Well, if you've been to some of the Republican events, and you probably seen me, you probably saw me with Tom Holman. I gave her the hook and horn sign, and he gave me the Gig and Maggie sign when we have our photo together. I have worked in many people's campaigns. One of the proudest, we have one of the best sheriffs, Sheriff Cook, sitting right over there. I worked on every one of his campaigns. I worked on his wife, Sherry Cook's campaign. You know, I believe in Republicans. I believe we are a Republican stronghold, but the pendulum does swing. When I was very young, I met John Tower and Lloyd Benson. That was when we were split, one Republican and one Democrat. I love Republicans, and I'm a young Republican member, associate member of the Young Republicans. I'm too old, not under 20 or 40, but they accepted me. And look, Republican blood runs through this county. We need to keep it the Republican stronghold that it is. And as a precinct chair, I would tell every one of you to talk to another Republican and get them out to vote. Because sometimes we're in the midterm elections, people don't come out to vote.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hang on to the microphone there. I'll ask this question of everybody. Actually, this is what we'll do this question. This is from that was submitted online. How would you improve the process of preserving historic cases? How would you improve the process of preserving historic cases?
Well, I looked up a couple of cases recently, and really, we need to go with some media that can help us do that very well. In the 90s, I happened to be patrolling. I had the radio because I ran a police department here, the University of Texas Police Department, for the Bastrop Science Parks and Smithville Science Parks. And one of the things that happened to me is I turned on the radio, and the sheriff and the chief deputy, who usually stay in the office, suddenly were out. And on that day, they were near our property, and they found the body of Sherry Stykes. So I looked up the case, Rodney Reed, and recently including Maurice, including Brian Gertz, all recently sued again to the Supreme Court for the DNA evidence of that case. So it goes on more than 30 years.
I'm not sure what the question was.
Yes. The question was, how would you improve the process of preserving historic cases?
Do you mean the records?
I think they're referring to the records. Yeah.
Okay. I work with a vendor every year. And in fact, right now I have several cases that he picked up just a few weeks ago. Old books. They're old. If you pick them up, they start to fall apart. They're being totally restored and digitized. I do that every year with what I can, money-wise, as far as the budget goes. And I get a discretionary fund for that purpose, to do with what I need to with the records. I think it's very important to be doing this, especially now when we are going to be moving to a new justice center, and we're going to have to start getting paperless as we can and digitizing more records so that we have more room for people in the new justice center. Thank you.
So I know that there is a dedicated fund for preserving records, and I think there would be a way to get the budget increased to make more records being able to be preserved each year instead of the amount that is being done. So that I would work for that to try to get that done.
Holly?
So, kind of to touch on the same thing that Tammy and Sarah just said, there is a budget. There is an allocation of funds that are specifically for preserving and restoring our historical documents. And the answer is just to do it, right? To spend that money that is allocated. And if it's minimal, then we should be using all of it to restore those funds. Just at the end of last year, our current district clerk petitioned the commissioner's court to reallocate some of those funds, our restoration funds, for salary increases for our clerks. If that would have been addressed in the years prior, like most department heads did, then we wouldn't have to be reallocating funds that are so important to preserve. It's my history, born and raised here. So just using the money where the money is supposed to be used would definitely improve that area.
If you can hold on to the microphone there, I've got time for one more. What leadership or management role have you had in the past that makes you the best candidate amongst the 4 candidates for this role?
I think experience-wise, the things that make me unique is I've been a Bastrop business owner. I have, under the direct management of an office manager, managed a multi-attorney, multi-practice area law firm here in Bastrop. The attorney that I worked for teams with a title company, and we included doing real estate transactions. During COVID, essentially kept that place alive. It was one of the few places that were still making real estate transactions happen. So I think just the unique perspective I have from working with the judges, working with the attorneys, the officers, that all together, I think makes me a qualified candidate.
Tammy?
I feel like that I'm a qualified candidate. When I did work in the district clerk's office, I had a dedicated judge that I served within court. Where I work now, I manage 2 office staff, and different departments call me all the time because I can find the answers to questions that they have. Even if it doesn't pertain to what I do, I usually will find the answer, and people come to me all the time. So I feel like I'm qualified for that. Thank you.
First of all, I would like to respond to the conversation about the allocated funds. Last year, we only got a 3% COLA. You know what that is for the women that work in my office? It's maybe $50, $70 a month raise. And they do a lot. They deserved to get more money. They deserve to get paid more. And considering what we pay for records restoration, which is several $100,000, their $20,000 did not make a bit of difference, and the commissioners approved it immediately. I'm the best candidate for the office, definitely.
Lastly, Ward.
Hi. So, as I was saying, I ran a small police department here in the county. And so what does that mean? Hiring and firing people, running a budget. The current budget for the district clerk's office is about $1.25 million. That's not enough for mainly what it is involved is salaries and that sort of things. The clerks are underpaid. In terms of being the best, look, I'm just a stakeholder. I have always been a stakeholder. I've had to file my cases in district court. I can hear with my own ears that sometimes there's a little controversy. I think I can be a unifier for the team that is the district clerks. I know Sarah has served a decade and a half as district clerk. Her actual title is the Honorable Clerk of the Court, District Clerk Sarah Locks, and I have voted for her over and over again. If she's not the best, I'm probably the second best. So I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And give them all a round of applause. Thank you.